Good morning, everyone. I'm Michelle Wilson. I am one of the Persistence to Graduation consultants in the Office of Continuous Improvement and Support, and excited to share about Insights dashboards today. So, Insights has been around for about a year now, and we've seen some really great updates throughout this past year. When it was developed as a companion to Early Warning. And so, today I'll show you how it can work with Early Warning tool as well as how it works as a standalone tool as well. Basically, it is a module that contains data visualizations to help disseminate information around student assessments, attendance, behavior, classroom performance, and stability. What's great is in the state of Kentucky, it's part of the campus analytics suite, so it is available to any Kentucky district for free of charge. This is an example of the dashboards, and you'll notice under each dashboard, you'll see a variety of reports, and all of those reports are customizable to meet your needs. What I really like about it is you're able to dig down at the micro level of student information, but it's also useful in looking at school level trends as well as you're making decisions for your school. A couple of things to keep in mind about Insights. One, you will need read tool rights and calendar rights in order to view Insights. And keep in mind that there is personal information for students as well as teacher level data. So just being mindful of that when you decide who in your district needs access to each of the dashboards. So what we're going to do at this time, I would like to show you using our Scrambled site. Our Scrambled Infinite Campus site, a little bit about the dashboards. So we're going to move to that. There we go. So right now, you should see Polk High School. And Polk High School, we are going to see on the left-hand side, you'll see the Insights menu. And we're going to start off and look at attendance. So within attendance, we have several different reports that you'll have access to. For right now, I'm going to dig in just to a couple of the different reports within each of the dashboards so you can see what's available and how each of the dashboards functions. So we're going to look at absenteeism tier. And what that's going to pull up for you, we're going to look at the count of students within the school. Again, we're looking at a high school in this case. So it's going to be 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th grade students and the percent of time that they've missed throughout this year. So for example, the first tier, it's students who have missed less than 5% of the days. Second tier is 5 to 9%, all the way up to our chronically absent students. Now, I mentioned at the beginning of the presentation that Insights is a companion tool with early warning. So one of the first things that you'll want to do when you're looking at any of these reports is to go up to this filter button right here, click, and see if there is already a filter in place for early warning. Chances are there will be because that's what the default setting is. I noticed pretty quickly that there's an early warning attendance filter in place. And so Insights is set to default to early warning score for students of 50 to 100. So you'll want to make sure that you select all students if you want to see every student within your building and not just the students who have that score of 50 to 100. So that changed our data a little bit. And so what I love about Insights is I can come over here and I can click on any of these bars. And so this is 10th grade students, for example, who have missed less than 5% of the days this year. When I do a simple double click, it's going to immediately tell me all of the students who have missed less than 5% of the days, as well as the actual number of days that they have missed this year. You have the option within any of these reports to look at it in a variety of chart formats. So I'm looking at column right now, but you can also look at this data via bar chart, line chart, scatter, and so forth. And then a lot of folks love that you can look at the same information using the grid format. So if you prefer to look at data this way, you can do this as well. What's nice is just like I double clicked a second ago in one of the bars to see student information, I can do the same thing within the grid. So if I want to see who our students are who have missed over 30% of the days this year, I can come to any of the cells, I can do a simple double click. And again, I'm going to quickly see who our students are who have now missed over 30% of their days this year. Another one of the reports that you may like within attendance is reason by weekday. So what this is going to show you is every day of the week. And depending on what reason codes you have in Infinite Campus, it's going to tell you the number of students who have missed, your count of attendance, as well as the reason that they have missed. So for example, I can see on Monday within the given time frame that we're looking at with Monday, I can see that we have about 298 students who missed based on a parent note. Again, I can double click and I can see exactly who those students are. We were working with one high school, and when they were looking at this data over the course of the year, they assumed that their highest days for missed students would be Monday and Friday. Well, what they quickly discovered is, in fact, it is Wednesday and Thursday, and the main reason was because of doctor's notes. So I think it's really great information to be able to look at for planning purposes. What you can also do, if I go back to this grid view, I can come in here and I can select a certain term. So if I just want to look at term 1 and term 2 for how students have missed, I can do that. I can also come by attendance date and select certain weeks of the year and just look at that information as well. So again, very customizable depending on your needs. One of the next dashboards that we'll take a look at is stability. So under stability, we're going to look at enrolled by status. And initially, this is going to pull up students we're going to look at students who have enrolled. It's their first enrollment of the year is with your school. If they were a no-show student, if they transferred from another school in the district, if they transferred from a Kentucky homeschool, or even outside of the district with their initial enrollment. I'm going to double check and see if there's a filter in place. And in fact, there is early warning grad score. So right now we're just looking at students with a grad score of 50 to 100. However, I can quickly click all students. And now we're looking at all students within the school. I can, just like I did before, if I wanted to double click on any of these bars, it would tell me the students whose first enrollment is in the building, or maybe who have transferred from a Kentucky homeschool. What's also nice though is we can customize this report by going to the Fields button here at the top. And if you'll notice right now, we're looking in this row, we're looking at enrollment start status. Perhaps I don't want to look at that. I want to look more at demographic information within the school. So I can pull out enrollment start status, and I can pull in student race ethnicity, click apply, and now I can look and see what our enrollment looks like for each type of student race and ethnicity within the building. Again, it's a quick double click and I can see who the students are in the building as well. So that's one way to pretty quickly be able to look at your demographic information within your school, and that's through the stability dashboard. Next, we're going to take a look at behavior. Multiple options within behavior, a lot of different reports to look at. For today, we're going to take a look at events by grade. And so initially, this is going to show me 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th grade students and the type of behavior event that's associated with each grade level. So like we did before, I could go over to any of these. If I'm looking at 10th grade, for example, this teal color is disruptive behavior. So I could click and see any of the students who had disciplinary infraction for disruptive behavior. I can also see what type of resolution code was used, if it was after school detention, in school suspension, and so forth. I can do a variety of filters. I can put a variety of filters in place. So if I want to come and just look at a certain grade level, I can do that here. So let's just look at 10th grade. And it'll show me just the 10th grade students as well as the type of events that students have been involved in. I can also come back and look at events by grade through the grid. And what I like about this is I'm going to scroll all the way over. Oh, excuse me for a second. There we go. Scroll all the way over, and we have 81 students in our building who have been involved in some type of behavior incident in 120 behavior incidents. When I double click Just like before, it's going to bring up the students and it's going to tell me the event name. Well, I may want additional information about the type of events that are occurring in the building. So if I click this button, it's a fields button. For me, I was a former principal, so some things that I would be really interested in finding out is where are the events happening? So, what's the location? I may also want to know the incident time that a lot of our behavior incidents are occurring. I'm going to hit apply. And when I do that, I can scroll over and I can sort. And now I can quickly see we've had several events that have occurred on the athletic field, several on the bus, cafeteria, campus grounds. If I'm looking at campus grounds, I may want to really dig in and see what time are these events happening because perhaps I need to increase supervision in a certain area during a certain time. And so again, you're able to customize any of these reports really to be able to meet your needs. Within behavior, I can also come down and I can look at events by resolution. So this will show me pretty quickly, switch back to this view, show me pretty quickly what type of resolution we're using in the building. And in this particular school, it looks like we're using out of school suspension quite a bit as our resolution type. So I may want to get curious and see what's going on there. So I could come up to the filter button and I just want to look at the reasons why we are assigning out of school suspension to our students. So I'll select out of school suspension and apply. And now it's going to tell me the resolution name is out of school suspension. And here are all the different types of behavior events that have resulted in out of school suspension. So it's interesting to be able to look and say, okay, we've suspended students for fighting, for alcohol use. We're also suspending students, it looks like, for using profanity, harassment, out of area violations. So again, it gives you a look at the entire school. Why are we suspending students? And are there some opportunities to perhaps tighten up the way that we're assigning discipline. You can also look at behavior through events by staff. So when I click on events by staff, this is going to list every staff member in the building who has submitted an incident report this year. Now, keep in mind, I'm looking at Mr. Collins here, and I'm curious what's going on with Mr. Collins. My guess is he is likely an assistant principal or a principal. A lot of times, those are your folks who are entering disciplinary information into Infinite Campus. It is one reason that if you have a teacher who is submitting the referral, that teacher's name is linked, because then you'll be able to see if you have some opportunities for coaching in the building around classroom management. But this is a pretty quick way to see where are some of those infractions coming from. Another area that I want to show you, another dashboard, is classroom performance. And we're going to look specifically at percent tier by course. And initially, this is going to bring up every course that we have in the building. So to me, this is a little overwhelming to look at it this way. So I'll show you some of the ways that I would break this information down. First, I'm going to come over to the filter and I'm going to look to see if we have an early warning default on, and we do. We have a early warning curriculum score of 50 to 100. So I'm going to make sure that we've selected all students. So I'm looking at every student in the building. And I want to specifically look and see what's going on in biology right now. So I'm going to do a search of biology. And this is going to show me a breakdown. It's in tiers. So if it's red, it's students who have a posted score first is what it's going to pull from. If there's not a posted score, it'll pull from your progress score of 0 to 64%, 65 to 70%, 70 to 80. 80 to 90, and then scores over 90%. At this time, those percentages can't be changed. I'm hoping that that's a change that maybe will occur in the future, but right now, those are going to be the tiers that you're looking at. If I were to double click on any of these bars, I would be able to see the students who fall into each of these categories and specifically what their score is in the class. But before I do that, what I want to show you is if you notice the biology word down here and there's a plus sign, if I hit that plus sign, it's now going to break down and you're going to be able to see the distribution of scores per teacher for biology. And so initially, I would probably get a little curious about what's going on in Mr. or Mrs. Gray's class because it seems like we have pretty high number of students who have a score of 0 to 64%. And like we did before, I would double click and I would be able to find out what students right now have that score of 0 to 64%. And as I scroll over, I'll be able to see exactly what their score is so that we can hopefully provide some interventions and help out these kiddos. A couple of icons that you'll want to be familiar with or that I want to bring your attention to. We talked about the charts, and you're able to do that. You're able to look at this information in a variety of formats. You're also able to export any of this information. You can print to HTML, CSV, as well as Excel. And then these two icons are pretty interesting as well. I can click on students, and let's say that I have students who are on my watch list from early warning. I can filter so that I am only looking at all of this information for my watch list students. If I'm a counselor and I have a certain caseload, let's say of A through F, I can click caseload and I can just look at my students who fall into that category. Or if you have a student ad hoc that you've put in place, you can look at students via the ad hoc report or that ad hoc as well. And what's also nice is it stacks. So I can look at students who are on my caseload who are also on my watch list, and it'll filter down just to show those specific students. Once you've put those filters in place, you may want to use this icon, which is a templates icon, and you can go in and you can save that template. So you won't have to go through and put the filters in place every time. You can just pull up the specific template to see what you want to look at. One other area, one other dashboard specifically is assessments. This is assessments by proficiency. So any of the assessments that have been put into Infinite Campus, so your access scores, your KSA data, your ACT scores, it can all be found within the assessments by proficiency. And you'll notice the breakdown in this case is apprentice, distinguished, novice, proficient. Just like we did before, you can click on any of these bars and you'll be able to see the students who fall into each of those categories. And then I also really love this feature. It's an aggregation dashboard. So this allows you to customize what dashboards you look at when you pull up Infinite Campus each day. So Infinite Campus is going to update every 24 hours. So when you come back into the office the next day, you'll be able to pull this up, and maybe I want to look at what's on here now. I want to see student disciplinary information. I also want to see what our absences look like. So you can come down to this button right here and hit configure. And when I do that, I can select whichever report that I want to see on a daily basis, and I can choose which quadrant I want it to fall into. I also like, as I mentioned before, you can create your own templates. So I could select a template if I had one created and use that as well in one of the quadrants. All right. So I am going to stop sharing insights here and we'll pop back over to our slideshow, and just wanted to let you know that we offer both insights as well as early warning trainings within our persistence to graduation team. We are always happy to help, and I think we'll have our yes, our email information is on the board, so please reach out anytime.
Thank you, Michelle. That was great. We did have a few questions come in, but I think they have been all answered in the soapbox. I do want to add one thing that we are working on a training with Infinite Campus. They're supposed to be delivering that anytime now. We hope to have a date later today that we're going to send out to everybody. This training is also going to be on our media portal. So if you want to share this training and go through it. One of the things that Michelle mentioned was the fact that we have information on assessments, but we think about assessments in Infinite Campus as being the state assessments that we push down to you. There's also the functionality that some districts take and take the MAP testing or any of their formative assessments that they're doing locally, and they load those into Infinite Campus. if you're doing those, this tool will allow you to see that information as soon as you get them loaded. And that's a nice function, because we don't have that anywhere else in any other system at this point in time. We can say there's some duplication with the Tableau environment, and there is. We recognize that. The Tableau environment is great. It does a lot of really good stuff for us. We're not saying it's going to sunset anytime soon, but as Insights continues to evolve and improve upon what's available, we'll have to take a look at the duplication, because there is cost associated with that Tableau environment that we do know, and we do know there's some performance issues too at times because of our inability to get some additional funding to beat that up any further. So those are things that we're going to do.
We do have a crosswalk document if you're interested to see Tableau and Insights, so you know what functions are available with both.
We have that posted on our KDE website too, under the Persistence to Graduation page. So you might check that out. There's additional resources there and links. And there was one question, I don't know if we have time, Dee Dee, but Michelle, I wasn't for sure about on the Go Soapbox. Should we ask her, or you just want us to work on getting it answered out there, Dee Dee? I'm not sure about time.
Well, we're up against a break. So,
okay.
I mean, if folks want to take a break and they're ready to break, they can go ahead. Are you talking about the very last one? How do you pull just post grades from a turn or over all year? There are so many filters, it's hard to know which one is impacting the way we are trying to pull the data.
Okay, you said if you're pulling it per term, was it assessment data or classroom performance?
Post grade. So I would say classroom performance. From a term versus overall year.
Yes. So when you're in classroom performance and you have the drop down arrow that allows you to filter, there's an option where you can select term, and you can choose term 1, term 2, term 3, and so forth. And that to me is the easiest place to go to be able to see that. And yeah, I'm happy to. If there's a certain district that needs assistance, we can always hop on a virtual call and I can walk them through that too.
And you have folks that are using this. I mean, one of the benefits of this is this really allows for permission-based reporting. So more people can have access to this Insights tool, these Insights tools, than can have access to the Tableau environment, because the Tableau provides everything to everybody in there. The only exception to that is the equity dashboard. So you are able, and folks will find use for some of this Insights outside of the early warning system work that they're doing. So think beyond early warning. It's a great application and it has a line to that. But if you think about the chronic absenteeism information, somebody may be focused on that maybe is not focused on the whole early warning concept, but that would be helpful to them. The same thing with the assessment data and different data, teachers having access to the information about grades. Those are things that you as system administrators are the ones that are going to grant permissions on these. And as we provide information and you get, the training, if you're not using it today, think about how you can set them up with the access that they need to make data work for them.
I added the answer, Michelle, in there, and also put that, to contact you for additional information. One thing that was posted in the questions that maybe could be said out loud is asking if you can run Insights for prior years, and I have confirmed that you can run it for prior years. It won't match up with your early warning reports because early warning is current year only, but that's a key thing too, that maybe a lot of people don't know, that you can run it for the prior years at the beginning of this school year to kind of determine where the needs are.